A New York City college is sparking outrage by exhibiting and trying to sell artwork made by suspected terrorists at Gitmo.
Suspected? One of the artists suspected of having a hand in the 9/11 terror attacks, where dozens of John Jay College students were killed.
The Department of Defense now putting off art transfers from the prison until a review is finished. Joining us right now to weigh in is Fox and Friends weekend co-host and former Gitmo guard for the Army National Guard, Pete Hegseth. Okay, so Pete, the artwork is of uncontroversial stuff.
Yep.
It's not like jihad.
Approved by the Army for transfer.
Right. It's flowers and it's beaches. So what's the problem?
First of all, the artwork tells us everything we need to know about the way the American military treats terrorists as opposed to how they would treat us. They would cut our heads off. We let them do art on the sea. I mean, let's be very clear about the double standard in the world that we live in. These are pieces of art that were released, approved by the Department of Defense to go out. But it's one thing to release them to go to family and friends of these detainees. It's a whole other thing to allow them to be hung as art to be celebrated
or to
be sold, which many of these pieces are being sold. These are technically property of the United States government. We're probably not going to recoup the ones that are out there already, but I see no reason why art created in a prison should ever go out to laud or exalt former current terrorists who went after American soldiers.
What's hard to see is like the pictures, the images of New York City, artwork of New York City. This is the city where they terrorized on 9/11 3,000 families.
And most of them still celebrate. That's why 4 of the 8 detainees whose art are being displayed, 4 of them are still at Guantanamo Bay. Because we can't let them loose because they're such a danger to our society. Yet we display this art at this institution in New York City as if it's something we should be celebrating. This is the sort of civic world we live in, where in higher education there's no up or down, right or left, good or evil. It's just, hey, this is art, and look at the troubled lives of the detainees. It's really, really unfortunate.
Okay, so I understand they're not going to be selling it going forward, but who thought this was a good idea?
I think it's probably nobody, but it's part of a process that is self-perpetuating. You've got lawyers, you've got the Red Cross, you've got sort of bureaucrats in the institution.
They're innocuous paintings, just do that.
Gitmo has been hyper-lawyerized, whereas we should be treating these guys like enemy combatants, trying them and either executing them or sentencing them. It's all been caught up in international lawyerdom. So it's probably a process. Hey, this is like a letter or anything else, let it go. And then once it gets out into the ether, anyone can use it for whatever they want.
It's outrageous, and this is not even a hard one. I mean, for anyone to say that. Plus, if you can't really write, if you're a murderer, you can't write a memoir and be able to get that revenue to become a rich person in prison to begin with. Here's what change.org is saying with this petition. It's got over 1,000 signatures. Let them know that burning the art is something done by fascists and terrorist regimes, but not by the American people. So before you petition, before you bid, let them know who did it.
Maybe you want to buy it and then burn it. That might be an idea. Or, our government going forward has realized this is a really bad idea. No further art is going to be let out of Guantanamo Bay.
Right.
But just think, honestly, it's mind-blowing to think. We let them have brushes and paint and canvases to paint on at Guantanamo. Listen, I've been there. I served there. We treat them so well. It's unbelievable. Go to Guantanamo Bay and see it. We treat them better than prisoners in the United States of America. And yet Guantanamo Bay is seen as a gulag. We do things better than anyone in the world.
Sure.
For the worst people in the world.
What's the college saying? They're on display at John Jay. What's the college? Why would they do that?
Most colleges saying it's a safe space where all ideas matter and everyone gets to think.
And it's New York City.
It's insanity.
And by the way, how do the prisoners treat the guards?
They spit on them. They throw cocktails of bodily fluids on top of them every single day if they can. No. And these guys from every state of the union go to defend these total clowns in this prison, and yet we're condemned for that. Guantanamo Bay is a great facility. We should double down on it.
They have a beautiful courtroom that's never used because we're not trying them because everything got gunned up.
The process has been totally mucked up. You're right, Brian.
All right. Peter, thanks
you very much.
Appreciate it.